Hallo, da sind wir wieder.
Ja.
Und es geht weiter mit The Stanley Parable. Und,
So. Caro übernimmt.
Ja. Jetzt läuft hier gerade unsere Katze auf dem Tisch rum. Was nicht gut ist. Kai, entsorgt sie mal.
Ja, ich entsorge die Katze.
So, push the button.
Sonst schaltet die wieder den Laptop aus. Hast du den Button jetzt schon gedrückt?
Da geht nichts.
Nicht?
Nein.
Schade. Der Button ist so einladend.
Ja. Dann gehen wir jetzt einfach nochmal... Da kommen wir her, ne? Ja.
Guck mal nach oben. Die Treppe da, die andere, also die da, ja.
Da kommen wir her. Ich würde
Kommen
sagen...
wir da her?
Ja, wir kommen daher. Ich würde sagen, ich gehe jetzt mal hier in die Facility.
Oh, da war aber ein schöner Button, eine 5.
Wo?
Dort.
Oh.
Nichts passiert. Aber andere Töne.
Ja, toll, oder? Gut, ich wollte jetzt hier mal in die Facility Power gehen, weil da kann man ja den Strom anmachen, glaube ich.
Ja, vielleicht ist davor noch was, genau.
Guck mal, da ist irgendwas programmiert, oder? Nicht doof.
Die Katze zieht ja gerade die Tischdecke runter.
Ist das ein Programm da?
Keine Ahnung.
Na gut. System Power.
And when at last he found the source of the
Sehr gut.
room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
Okay, also soll ich jetzt aufdrücken?
Ja, drück mal auf.
Gut. Dann drücken wir mal auf.
Dunkel.
Sind wir jetzt frei? Freedom?
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes! He had won! He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him. For it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Ganz schön philosophisch hier.
Haben wir jetzt gewonnen?
Ich weiß nicht.
The end.
It's
It
never the end.
Ja. Okay, wir sind wieder da.
Die Freiheit war doch so schön. Na gut, laufen wir jetzt doch nochmal los. Wir haben
Laufen
gerade
wir mal
erst
los.
eine Folge gestartet. Ich dachte, ich kann jetzt durch den Garten laufen. Kann ich vielleicht hier irgendwas eintippen? Also, mir fällt jetzt spontan schon noch ein alternatives Ende ein, und zwar, dass wir einfach On drücken.
Genau.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Es war jetzt nicht so weit.
Nee. Okay.
Links.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Was passiert eigentlich, wenn man schneller läuft, als der Erzähler erzählt? Ob der dann auch fies
Vielleicht
wird?
bricht er da ab.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Ich habe da gerade schon wieder so eine...
Willst du nach unten gehen?
Ich will mich widersetzen.
Aber wir können ja nach oben gehen und dann beim nächsten Mal nach unten.
Okay. Aber ich habe so Lust, nach unten zu
Und dann
gehen.
gehst du nach unten.
Was passiert eigentlich, wenn ich hoch, runter laufe?
Nichts. Okay.
Na, Erzählerchen? Magst du mal was dazu sagen?
Ah.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
Wir sind immer noch da.
Ja.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss, I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real, I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
Und jetzt?
Ich habe keine Ahnung. Das ist ja gerade total abgefahren.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
Was?
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Stanley ist tot.
Offenbar, wenn das so Stanley war.
The end is never the end. Oh,
Ach du Scheiße, Mensch. Was zur Hölle? Und was, also jetzt mal ehrlich, ich schwebe ja. Ich bin ja quasi... Alter Schwede.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Warum ist hier das ganze Papier? Ist das überall? Nee,
nee.
hier nicht. Au! Ach, Katze. Die läuft immer so mit ihren Krallen rum. Gut, also das war jetzt ganz schön viel Input eben,
Das
oder?
war ganz schön viel Input.
Ja.
Und alles nur, weil du die Treppe nach unten genommen hast.
Ich bin schuld.
Ja.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ah!
Meeting room.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's
Ich muss einfach
office.
schneller sein als der Typ. Ich lasse mich nicht kontrollieren
Okay, wir
von
sind wieder
dem.
da.
4-2. Nee, Quatsch. 4-2. Nee,
Stepping into his manager's
2,
office,
8, 4, 5.
Stanley was once
2, 8.
again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music.
Das ist eines der großartigsten Spiele, die ich in letzter Zeit gespielt habe.
Ey, das ist voll der Mindfuck.
Ja,
Der kontrolliert uns.
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
okay, wir sind wieder da.
Calmly, nein, ich laufe hier nicht calmly. Wow!
Und gleich drücken wir den On-Button.
Ja! Der sagt gar nichts.
Hm?
Er hat doch vorhin gesprochen, dass er über sein Leben nachdenkt.
Ja, stimmt.
Diesmal haben wir nicht
Aber wir haben ja
nachgedacht.
schon darüber nachgedacht.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read
Nein,
Mind Control
nein, nein, wir
Facility.
gehen da rein.
Ach so, das ist ja doch noch ein ganzes Stück jetzt.
Mhm.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Was ist das?
Das Büro vom Chef, das wird auch bewacht.
Ach so.
Oder? Das ist doch geradezu
Das ist vielleicht
hier.
auch der Chefopfer der Mind-Control-Anlage.
Meine Güte. Der
Okay.
Erzähler ist böse. Ich sag's dir. So.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its... Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control?
Ja.
Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go. Turn the controls off and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system.
Whoa.
In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say 2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are?
Was?
A moment of solace before you're obliterated. All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock, why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees.
Der ist
Dear me,
böse!
what's the matter, Stanley?
Lass mich
Is it
raus.
that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now?
3.
Or did you
3.
just assume when you saw
Wo
the
ist die
timer
3?
that something in this room was
die
capable
3
of
war da.
turning it off? I mean, look
Brauchen
at
die
you.
2 und die 1?
Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten?
Musst mit der 1
Won,
anfangen.
solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is?
Nein.
Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a
Da,
cutscene
die
because I
1.
want to watch you for every moment that you're
Geradeaus.
powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge.
Schafft man nicht
It's
mehr.
a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle.
Jetzt auf die 2.
30 seconds until a big boom and
Was?
then nothing.
Drück mal
No
die
ending.
Reihenfolge.
Just
1,
you
2, 3,
being
4,
blown
5.
to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice.
Kann nicht mehr.
Make it count.
Geht
Or
nicht.
don't. It's all the same to me, all a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say,
Gleich explodiert er.
Goodbye, Employee. Hast du es gesehen?
Goodbye, Employee.
427, ja.
Ah,
Mein Gott, der ist ja übelst böse. Der
du
Erzähler.
hast on gedrückt.
Ich habe aber dir gesagt, dass der Erzähler wahrscheinlich böse ist. Und er war tatsächlich total der Psychopath.
So, wir sind wieder...
Nein, wir müssen jetzt stoppen.
Okay, nächster Versuch, dann das nächste Mal.
Ja, voll Mindfuck hier.
Okay,
Bis dahin.
großartiges Spiel, großartig.
Ciao. Alter.